Senator Gilibrand, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for testifying today, and thank you for your commitment to serving others. It really does make a difference. I'd like to direct my first two questions to Mr. Cisneros and Mr. Del Toro. As you know, President Biden asked Secretary Austin to commit a review to how to deal with sexual assault better. The recommendation from the commission of all the crimes they looked at was to remove every single one of them out of the chain of command. And they did that because they believe that professionalization and an unbiased review by a trained military prosecutor would do two things. One, create more confidence in the system that it was being done professionally, and two, remove bias that is somehow undermining the system overall. For example, despite this committee's 8 years of intense focus on reducing the rate of sexual assault to the military and increasing the rate of prosecution and conviction, unfortunately, the rate of sexual assaults has stayed steady at about 20,000, but the rate of cases going to trial and the rate of cases ending in conviction have sadly continued to decline. So we're not getting better on any measurable. We also have data and statistics about racial bias within the military. The Marines are perhaps have the worst data. For Marines, Black Marines are 2.61 times more likely than white Marines to be found guilty at general courts-martial proceedings that are, quote, typically reserved for the most serious offenses and for which guilty findings carry more severe ramifications. We also see across-the-board racial bias at approximately two times more punishment for Black and Brown service members across all services. So this committee has been working on solutions for the past 8 years. We've had multiple hearings, and the solution that 66 members of the Senate have agreed on is that to have a bright line at all felonies, to make sure that these types of crimes are taken out of the chain of command, given to trained military prosecutors to eliminate bias, and to make sure the most professional decisions are being made. The bright line is something that has been done by our allies. It's been done in Israel, the UK, Germany, Netherlands, Australia, Canada. And they did it for defendants' rights because they believed if you could be put to jail for more than a year of your life, you deserved an unbiased professional review. So military justice experts have recommended a bright line. We carved out uniquely military crimes, such as going AWOL, such as not following an order, but we leave in place all serious crimes. And as you know, there was a recent report out of Fort Hood saying that the command climate there was so toxic that it was permissible for both sexual assault and sexual harassment. That report was because a woman named Vanessa Guillen was murdered. We have a record that she had been harassed. And we know that she was murdered. There are many cases where women are murdered and are also experiencing things as sexual assault and sexual harassment within the ranks. And so the bright line does two things. One, it creates the professionalization that we hope will fix the sexual assault problem. But two, it makes sure that defendants have rights for our service members. President Biden has said in the past that he would remove all serious crimes from the chain of command, including murder, and he had accepted the recommendations of this military commission. So I have two questions for both of you. One, will you support President Biden's commitment to take sexual assault and related crimes out of the chain of command?
Senator, yes, I believe that's the direction that what he's suggested and they're moving, and I will do what I can, if confirmed, to support that.
Senator, first let me thank you for all the efforts that you've done. You've shown tremendous courage and conviction in raising this incredibly important issue across the nation and in our military services. As a commanding officer who actually served on one of the first mixed gender crews on the USS Bulkley, there is no greater responsibility than to care for the men and women who serve under your command, so I applaud your efforts. With regards to your question, I fully support the Secretary's independent review committee and all the recommendations that they've made. I know that the Deputy Secretary of Defense is putting together an action plan to implement all those recommendations, and I intend to fully cooperate with all recommendations that come out of that committee.
I intend to offer an amendment within this committee to make sure all of the recommendations are implemented. And second, will you remain an open mind looking at the bright line idea of all felonies as a way to professionalize our entire military justice system, so we don't have one system for some, but have two unequal and separate systems, but have one system where every service member can have access to justice?
Senator, that was an important topic when I served on the House Armed Services Committee, the military justice system and the injustice that sometimes happened through it, and how, as you've stated, the people of color seem to get harsher punishment. And if confirmed, that will continue to be a priority of mine, and I will do what I can to support the Secretary as well as the President in their initiatives to change that.
Senator, I also share the Secretary of Defense's view that there is absolutely no room for racial bias in our military service, and I absolutely will remain an open mind in addressing all these issues.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for witnesses. And for the record, I'm going to submit a question for Mr. Connor about a dredging issue in New York. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gillibrand. Let me recognize Senator Kramer, please.